Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I represent a rural area. My constituents know who I am. They know where they can find me. And I believe a great majority has my cell phone number because I get phone calls every day, all day long about constituent issues. When I stop at a gas station somewhere or Walmart or any other establishment, my constituents will frequently stop me and engage in conversation. Recently, I was stopped at a gas station, and an elderly gentleman walked up, and he started the conversation with this. Do you guys live in a bubble up there at the Capitol? Perplexed by his comment, I said, well, what do you mean, sir? He said, stop trying to raise my taxes, stop letting the state agencies run the state government, and do away with the waste. And I said, well, sir, that's what we're trying to do. And I explained to him about House Bill 1270. And he said, you know what? That's a great idea. It's a good start. And then he stared at me for a second, and I said, yes, sir. He says, well, why are you still standing here talking to me? Get up to the Capitol and get it done. So here we are. If one of us went down the street here and we robbed a bank for millions of dollars, the story would be all over the front page of every newspaper in the United States. So why isn't it equally a major news story when a similar scheme occurs every year? The truth is, very few people are even talking about it. Annually, billions of dollars are lost, stolen, or misappropriated across the United States. Billions are stolen from taxpayers and the truly needy through spending on ineligible Medicaid recipients. Some of the dollars are lost through outdated systems and auditing practices by the state, and others are just blatant, fraudulent, and criminal behavior. You want teacher pay raises? If you want state employee pay raises, more money to education, or you name it, you want money to go somewhere else, this is a great start in saving money. Just by being accountable. It's that simple. When we have common sense options like auditing Medicaid, why wouldn't we do that? That's our job. We have to stop shaking down the taxpayer by raising their taxes to cover for waste, fraud, and abuse in government. We need to start being better stewards of the citizens' tax dollars. And one way to do this is to stop the waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid. This massive fraud and abuse of Medicaid can and must be prevented in the state of Oklahoma. More rigorous auditing of Medicaid rolls can save taxpayers an estimated $86 million a year. And you know what that does? It preserves money for education, public safety, infrastructure, and the truly needy. The people against this bill will say, well, we shouldn't bother because we don't know if we can save that money. Or they'll say, it's a war on the poor. Their statements are so far from the truth, it's absolutely silly. The fact is, by auditing the Medicaid rolls and taking people off for not qualifying for many different reasons, we will free up money for the truly needy. Of course, the opposition will say, well, you can't generate millions of dollars doing this. I would say that other states who have implemented the bipartisan reform have seen, as President Trump would say, huge savings. Within 10 months of implementing more rigorous auditing procedures to check Medicaid eligibility, Pennsylvania identified more than 160,000 individuals who were receiving welfare benefits despite being deemed ineligible. When those individuals, including millionaire lottery winners and individuals in prison, were removed from the rolls, taxpayers saw nearly $300 million in savings before the end of the program's first year. Illinois followed Pennsylvania's lead with its own program. It was called the Integrity Initiative, and it bringing in a third-party vendor to identify and verify income, residency, and other eligibility criteria of the state's Medicaid enrollees. By the end of the year, the first year, more than 300,000 individuals found to be ineligible and had been removed from that program. In the second year, the state removed an additional 400,000 individuals. And while state officials had projected that the initiative would save taxpayers nearly $350 million a year, it actually saved $390 to $430 million a year. Let me be very clear about what this bill does not do. The Medicaid audit bill does not remove deserving recipients from Medicaid rolls. Instead, these audits are enhanced tools in existing state data to verify an enrollee's income, their residency, and so much more. These factors are frequently monitored to ensure enrollees are still eligible for benefits. If they are found to no longer be eligible, they get removed. And it should be that way. Also removed are those individuals found to be abusing the system through welfare fraud, and it's rampant. The importance of up-to-date auditing and eligibility checks for Medicaid recipients is underscored by the fact that Medicaid, like most social welfare programs, relies on reported data. Potential enrollees are supposed to report accurate data in income, residency, identity, and employment, and other factors. And they're supposed to report any subsequent changes to these factors, like maybe winning the lottery for a couple $1,000,000. By relying on self-reporting is like asking a bank robber to go pay taxes on the money he just stole. In a recent audit, one state found that 93% of all eligibility errors were due to enrollees not reporting information or reporting incorrect information. In Michigan, more than 7,000 lottery winners were still collecting welfare benefits. In Illinois, more than 14,000 dead people were found on the Medicaid rolls, some of them for decades after they had died. And in Arkansas, our neighbors to the east, more than 20,000 Medicaid enrollees had high-risk identities. Oh, by the way, that's a code word for an illegal immigrant. They were using fake or stolen Social Security numbers. These audits will not only mean the end to fraudsters, but they ensure that deserving Oklahomans remain on the Medicaid rolls and that the funds are there to provide for the people who really need it. Now, there are some who don't think Oklahoma needs more stringent Medicaid audits, and we've heard that today. These people choose to believe that this fraud isn't occurring within our state, but I assure you that it is. It's happening all over the United States. According to data from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, nearly 10% of all Medicaid spending is improper. Given that Medicaid is the single largest line item in most states, that 10% represents a massive amount of money, and it's money that cannot be spent on critical public services like education and public safety, services that are vital to Oklahoma. Unfortunately, the reality of Medicaid fraud reaches beyond stolen money from public services. When money is being spent on criminal behavior, less funds are available for those who truly need the Medicare services to survive. The truly needy, as they talked about across the aisle a while ago, suffer the most at the hands of Medicaid fraud. So why wouldn't we implement audits and check eligibility? If we don't, we're turning our backs on our most vulnerable neighbors. In Oklahoma today, 1 in 4 citizens receive some sort of Medicaid benefits. Rigorous, frequent audits to check eligibility will help prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. And it will better preserve resources for public services and needy Oklahomans. We owe it to the taxpayers and the truly needy to conduct audits to ensure these benefits are going to people who really need it. More rigorous audits will help detect misuse and save taxpayer dollars. House Bill 1270 adds the process of quarterly audits and requirements to confirm information with several databases, government and civilian, to ensure maintained eligibility. The best way to help the truly vulnerable is to have Medicaid system that is stable and free from abuse. As lawmakers, that's all of us, we must focus our efforts on improving the programs for those it was meant to serve. Why would any lawmaker not want to ensure our taxpayer dollars are being used responsibly and for those who really need it? To say we don't need to conduct these audits because we may not save as much money as we said we will, or you try to kill this bill because you say, oh, well, we're just picking on poor people. That stuff's just absolutely nonsense. House Bill 1270 is not about removing deserving recipients from Medicaid. It is a sensible and responsible bill that only targets ineligible use of the system. Members, Oklahoma deserves a Medicaid system that can take care of the most vulnerable while protecting our taxpayers. They're paying for it. We need to protect it. Hopefully, Oklahoma can join Pennsylvania and Illinois in operating a Medicaid system that prevents waste and fraud and show our taxpayers that we are good stewards of their taxpayer dollars, because that's our responsibility. That's why they sent us up here. So if you believe in being good stewards of your taxpayer dollar, if you believe in taking care of those Medicaid recipients that do really need this, then you need to vote yes on this bill and prove to them that you do. Prove to them that you're willing to stand up for the needy and for the taxpayer. Vote yes on this bill. Let's get in there and audit and kick all these people off, just like Illinois did, and let's save some taxpayer dollar and put it back in education, roads and bridges, our infrastructure, and public safety, because that is our responsibility. You vote no, you're telling your citizens, I don't care about that. I'm just going to keep wasting your taxpayer dollar. So I humbly ask you and encourage you to vote for House Bill 1270.